Why do you think the establishment is so obsessed with us eating plant-based goop and crickets and things like that?
Well, I guess the least sinister way to explain it would just be they're covering for their own failure, right? If the supply chains are going to be so weak, if it's going to be so dominated by four meat packers, and they're going to be subject to, to all sorts of sabotage, and maybe you're not going to be able to have meat. And so then you want to start the PR campaign by saying, "Don't worry, right? Accept these lower living standards, and let's pretend that they're actually progress."
Yeah.
Uh, and then I can think of a lot more sort of sinister versions of it. But what it is unmistakably is decline, right? Cars have gotten smaller and worse. I guess our housing's gotten bigger, right? But somehow worse. I think new houses today are on net constructed more cheaply than houses constructed 150 years ago. And so I don't think that the extra room actually compensates for that. Food, right? I think the food, ever since they started pumping everything with canola oil, literally just synthetic oil that for the time in the 50s and the 60s, before they changed the acidity to make it palatable, was literally like illegal to put in food because it's not healthy. It's not good for people. Everything's kind of getting worse. And I think that the sort of globalist powers that be, the entrenched interests, they wage these relentless marketing campaigns to convince people that no, actually things are getting better. We're making progress. Now we're talking a lot about trans rights. So therefore everything is progress.
Talking about trans fats,
trans rights, trans. It's all good. Everything's about progress. And if you're not happy with this progress that we're delivering to you, then you're a bigot.
Right.
And I think most people now are waking up and saying like, man, we like modern antibiotics and electricity, but maybe all this stuff, right? Everything we're being sold as progress isn't quite working.
You just said a trigger word for me. You talked about canola oil. My show is one of the only programs and broadcasts that's been talking about Rene Girard and seed oils, and now it's trendy. So I mean, we really put that on those two combinations. Amazing. Everybody talks about those things now. But I want to ask you on that note: toxic seed oil sludge, canola, cottonseed, soybean, all these toxic vegetable oils that come from these environmentally disastrous monoculture crops that has a political chokehold on so much of our electoral process. These big food companies that push these products, they're cheap and frankly they're not meant to be food. These vegetable oils, they're driving the obesity. We've talked to professors at UC Davis and some of the best scientists who have shown that actual seed oil consumption is the main driver for severe cases of COVID, even because it's such an inflammatory food. When you get an infection like COVID, when you have a lot of bioaccumulation of these seed oil products, these oxidative stress products, that it creates a massive environment for severe cases with COVID. So whether it's COVID with an acute disease or chronic diseases like obesity, diabetes, cancer, a lot of these things are linked to our government screwing up and literally going to war against our health, whether they know it or not. So what could you do? Would you be willing to challenge the food pyramid system and really cut some of these subsidies to these soybean oils?
Absolutely. And I can't wait, frankly, to go in and investigate this stuff. Like we know this at this point, but like, where did the food pyramid come from, right? Was that some sober analysis of, scientific research on health? No, it was just the product of, basically lobbying efforts from, big food. And I think you got to go in with eyes wide open here too, because it's not enough to just wish for good intentions, wish for people's health. I think Michelle Obama probably had good intentions when she tried to, upend everything about school lunches and make them more nutritious. But look at how that got captured, right? They took out like full fat milk. You had whole milk in schools. And so you get all these idiot nutrition experts to say, oh, saturated fat, full fat milk, that sounds horrible because fat is bad. No, we're going to cut it. And so they put in like low fat milk, maybe it's 2% or skim milk, but like with strawberry flavoring, right? And crap loads of sugar. They basically took something that was healthy and put in poison and then pat themselves on the back. It's obviously just horrible. I think Yeah, look, I'm a seed oil disrespecter, and I'll continue to be one in the U.S. Senate.